Hello, children. Today I have a story of a little lion cub. Do you want to hear it? His name is Boomba. He was the Lion King's son, and he was like a big yellow ball of fur. He had such soft fur, and he was such a cute little lion. His mother was very proud of him, and she said, "Oh, Boomba, you're just like a ball of fur." And both his parents knew that one day he was going to grow up and become a handsome lion. But you know what? Boomba wasn't happy with his looks. He would rather have a beautiful tail like a peacock or shiny wings like a butterfly. He always wished he was different. His friends were all tired of him because you know what? Sometimes in the middle of play, they would be playing something and he would stop and he would say, "Look at me. Am I good looking?" And they were so tired of that. So one day they decided to play a prank on him. One day they were playing hide and seek, and Boomba and Mittu the parrot were hiding in a bush. When suddenly Boomba jumped up and said, "Look at me, Mittu. Am I good looking?" And Mittu said, "Oh, Boomba, get back in here. They are going to see us. Look, they're searching for us. If you don't get back right now, they're going to see us." And then he quickly added, "Look, Boomba, if you want, why don't you go to Kalpataru, the magic tree, and ask if he can make you green, and then it'll be so easy to hide in the bush. See, go to Kalpataru and ask the tree if it can make you green." So Boomba was thinking, Mittu is right. I should do that. And off he went. He looked back at Mittu and said, "I'm going to Kalpataru. Let me see what he can do." And off he went. He stood near Kalpataru, looked up at the tree and said, "Oh, please, tree, look at me. I want to be green like the bushes. I'm so tired of how I look. I don't like how I look. Can you make me green like the bushes?" Boomba looked down at his feet and they were green. He looked at the rest of his body and suddenly all of his body was green in color. He hurried to the river to look at his image in the water, and yes, he had turned green. How exciting! And he hurried back to tell his friends, and he met Chutki the fly on his way. And he said, "Chutki, look at me, I'm green like the bushes. Now it's easy for me to hide. Isn't it wonderful?" Chutki looked at him. Zzz. It said, "Oh, Boomba, you're so silly. Look at you, all so green. Look at me. I have wings. I can fly. And I can fly above people. And look at what they're doing. I can do so many things that you cannot do. I can go sit on a yellow flower, so soft. I can sleep on it. I can take shelter under a leaf when it rains, and I won't get wet. See, so many things I can do. What can you do, Zumba? What can you do, Boomba?" asked the fly. And Boomba was so deep in thought. He said, "Yeah, Chutki is right. What can I do with green color? I'd rather be tiny and small with wings." So he went back to Kalpataru and he said, "Oh, Kalpataru, look, I'd rather be tiny and small and have wings and I can fly everywhere. Please make me like that. Please make me like Chutki." And that's what Kalpataru did. Suddenly, Boomba felt everything around him was so big. He was sitting on a stone which looked like a huge rock to him because he was tiny like a fly and he had wings. And he flew up in the sky. Zzz, so excited he was. And on his way, he met Shakti the elephant. And he went, "Zzz, Shakti." And he went and sat on his long nose and said, "Shakti, look at me. I'm so tiny and I have wings. How fun, how much fun this is." And Shakti looked at him and said, "Oh, Zumba, you are so silly, fellow. Look at me. I am the biggest animal on earth. It's so fun to be big. What's fun in being tiny? No, 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 look at me. You should be big like me." And Chutki was disappointed again. He is right. Shakti is right. What fun it would be to be big, bigger than all the animals. So he went back to Kalpataru and said, look, I don't want to be tiny anymore. I want to be as big as Shakti, maybe even bigger. And suddenly, Zumba was so big. He had the shape and he had the size of an elephant. He was so huge and he stomped off into the forest. He looked in the river and he saw his size, the hugeness of it. And he was like, oh my, look at me. I am so huge. And he stomped off. But you know what? His friends, upon seeing him, laughed at him. Imagine a lion as big as an elephant. You see, his friends started laughing at him. Poor Boomba, he was so sad. He went to the riverside and he sat down deep in thought. He was very sad. He looked at the fish swimming in the river and he thought, oh, wouldn't it be fun to be like them, to swim in the river? And yes, I'm going to try again. So off he went to Kalpataru and he was turned into a fish. He jumped into the river and swam with the fish. It was fun and games for a while, but then after a while he was thinking he got tired of it. I think I want to become a lion cub again. And just then he looked up and he saw his friends on the bank of the river looking at him and smiling. And Chutki buzzed over him and said, oh, don't worry, Boomba. I think you should become a lion cub again. And so Boomba was Boomba again. He was on the banks of the river and Mittu perched on his back and he said, you know what, Boomba? Every creature looks great in its own color and shape. You should not try to change that. And Shakti the elephant gave him a pat on his shoulder and said, Boomba, I think you just look great just the way you are. And so Boomba was happy and he never tried to change the way he looked ever again. He was happy just as a lion cub.